Welcome to another episode of Star 42 with Michael.
And Jace, glad to be here, man.
Glad to be here too. Are you going to throw something?
No, I want to, but I just have this bottle full of water, so I don't want to throw that.
All right, imaginary throw something. All right, he threw something. Thank God.
I
So-
opened and everything fell out of it. Oh, well.
All right, we are on episode 17, I think, and it's been a while. The last episode was was recorded February 27th, probably posted sometime in March. I know it's been about late from recording for about a month or so. I've been busy. You've been busy. What's been going on lately?
Oh man, I've been prepping for this event coming up on the 16th, April 16th, NullStack Alpha, 10 speakers, 3 hours, 9 a.m. Eastern, I think, or maybe it's early. I don't know. You can look at the website, but yeah, it's coming up. So I've been stressing about that, talking to the speakers, making sure everybody's got the right permissions and getting everything lined up for that.
Nice. And I'll go ahead and share the screen here. And if I can remember to put in the show notes, well, I'm not going to get this posted before April 16th, probably. Well, and I'll share the link. But yeah, Knowledge Alpha, continuing the Null Edge series, which I think as a strong ServiceNow community member is phenomenal. That you've been, really trying, really focused on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to have it. I'm so glad that people are willing to speak at it. It needs people who are like the people listening to this, all 5 of them, to say, "Hey, Jace, I have a thing to talk about."
Yes.
And then me making it available, and people seem to show up and like it because it doesn't necessarily have an agenda of like one thing over the other.
Yes, but I just like it because it's got a lot of topics that are developer focused. They're from members of the community. It's not marketing stuff. It's real technical solutions or discussions.
Yeah, that's and I like that they're short. They're only 15 minutes. So if you're
Perfect.
busy, right? You don't have all day. You don't have 3 hours to throw at it. 15 minutes is all you need to get a whole session in.
Yeah, honestly, I found that out too. I recently just did a ServiceNow meetup last week, I think. Like barely anyone came, which is another issue of the Columbus ServiceNow community. But the idea was let's do like a ServiceNow's Got Talent. You spend 5 minutes pitching either an idea or maybe something you did. But the idea with it was your pitch is very short, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Get that concept out there. And I think that's the biggest thing where, yes, people do want to know details of a solution, but I also feel like right now we just need ideas.
Well,
because
if
I'm
you
not creative.
if you can't convey the thing in like 30 seconds to 3 minutes, then you don't know what you're
Don't
talking
do
about.
it.
I mean, you might know what you're talking about, but you need to be able to like summarize it in a way that everybody can understand.
Yes.
Like this is the Uber of popcorn delivery. I don't know, right? And maybe you're just stitching together other concepts. Everything is just a revision of somebody else's idea eventually, right?
Well, and that kind of brings a good segue as well with the ideas. AI is crazy. A few weeks ago, I got to go to Nvidia's GTC, like the GPU technology conference.
Yeah.
Now, I was just working the booth. I didn't get to go to any sessions. It was very isolated. And I will tell you, San Jose is not the best place to have 30,000 people in a conference. Hotels far away, takes over an hour to get back to hotel, waiting for a shuttle, Uber, whatever. It's not great. One thing I'll say about Vegas, I hate Vegas, but at least most of the time you're like, all right, maybe my hotel's a 40-minute walk away. I can at least get there in one way under my own steam. But the interesting thing was just all the AI stuff, all the robotics. And what stood out the most of a few things were number one, a lot of robotics. I feel like AI and automation in the virtual tech digital level has been making great progress, like OpenClaw, for example.
Yeah.
But the actual manual labor piece is what now people are trying to figure out. There's that. Number one. Number two, Jensen Huang on his keynote said, we're at the era of inference, which I said, I thought it was this podcast some point. I know I told people inference was the next big thing because when you're doing inference, which is running the models, it is less power. And right now with data centers and everyone trying to get resources and GPUs, it makes sense for those heavy processors to be used for model creation. And then you have a smaller inference chip. I got a new laptop. It's got its own inference chip in it. There's a company, Halo, that does inference, Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where it's like, hang on, can we run models more locally? And now we don't have reliance on data centers. And what's interesting as well, there's like goes into another piece to it. There's the war in Iran going on, or ceasefire, whatever. I'm not going to talk about the politics of it, but this.
Right. There's events happening on the world stage.
Happening that were causing outages in that area of the world of data centers,
Yeah.
causing traffic to shift to US infrastructure, including AI infrastructure, and which took down things like Claude and whatever as capacity and demand shifted. And you kind of realize, like, wait a minute. Now there's this volatility of the shared AI infrastructure that if I have a local model that people can run inference, once again, I'm
Yeah.
a little bit more protected of that and more resilient.
I mean, you can't really see it, but those watching the video podcast, this here literally is my little tiny home lab right now. I've got
Nice.
2 laptops and an old desktop. I think I got 16 gigabytes of RAM on the desktop
There's
there.
my dog.
I can't hear it,
Good. Good.
but
AI is working great on sound, removing sound.
one of my buddies, he runs Quen 3.5
Yeah.
locally in his home environment, and it works great for most of his purposes, right?
Nice.
No charge for him to use those inferences there. I mean, it's not going to be as nice as Kimi or Anthropic's Claude,
Yeah.
or Opus or whatever, right? But he also knows what his bill's going to be.
Exactly. In fact, there's this. I've got an idea I'm working on. I don't want to talk too much about it, but running, and I got my own kind of now. I got like a laptop over here
Yeah,
that I got Olama on, and I was surprised where I'm like, you know what I think I can do? I think I can mimic some AI in certain enterprise applications and run it locally. I'm going to see. I'm working on a project right now for this, and who knows? I think there's a lot of potential for inference. And from the announcement from Nvidia, ServiceNow, of course, said they're a partner for a lot of it. We'll see how that goes. But it's exciting because I had yet another moment of saying I was right.
just mark it on your calendar.
You know what? I've been right a few times, big times, and I'm just
Yeah,
going to be like, maybe I'm not as crazy as I think you thought I was.
I don't think anybody thought you were crazy.
There's some people that do. But needless to say, things have also been very busy in the new role. Yourself, I think you've been very busy.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy. We've been shifting focus. I'm working a lot with e-bonding, specifically like e-bonding different customers to and from the platform.
Nice.
But it's kept me busy.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
And then also, you kind of brought up another interesting piece of news that I was excited to hear.
Yeah, let
The
me tell you about
actress
it.
from
Fifth
Resident
El
Evil,
Fifth
Mila
El
Jovovich,
Yeah, she made a thing, and it's
want to
like
share.
it's getting better. It's a tool for memory for these large language models to access content, but
Yeah,
it's a AI memory system to let these AI systems find stuff faster within your content,
really?
right? And with more fidelity, right? I mean, you can see it's got 40,000 stars, well, 39.7 thousand stars.
Wow. Forked
And this
5,000 times.
Yeah, right? I haven't used it yet, but I read about it, like, oh, that's crazy. And the way that it's written, like, there's some interesting things about it, but it uses like its own sort of like language for like some things, I guess. That's what that AAK thing is. This lossless abbreviated dialect. It's like a machine specific language to have it like compress these things down into smaller bits. But it's interesting.
I'm
But I
going to
thought it
have
was
to
very
check that out.
fascinating. I love it when pop culture meets tech in ways that weren't expected. And this is one of them.
Yep, I agree with you on that one. That is pretty cool. And it's interesting too because like there's reference of I think Claude here and um yeah, with Claude Code recommended. It's blowing my mind how with AI, especially the developer tools, um, it's like development is for me kind of making like a reawakening. Like software development, I used to do Fortran, I learned C++ and of course JavaScript in the ServiceNow world. But like I'm with how easy it is to vibe code, I'm kind of like, oh, let me vibe code this stuff. And I'm like, wow, this surprisingly works
Yeah.
and makes things much faster. Where I'm like, wow, I'm kind of getting a reawakening of the tech world now because I can realize I now have these great tools to do things.
It's almost like you only have so much energy in your
Yes.
day or in your life. And when you use these tools, it's like you get a boost. It's like you have like a mechanical mech suit. And so you can be like, I want to go over there, but maybe you didn't have the energy to walk 2 marathons today.
Yes.
But with these AI tools, you can. Now, maybe it might take you out of the way because it ran out of power or it needs some like other thing to cool down or whatever. Like, you went on this weird tangent. Why are you over here? I didn't ask you to do that. And that's where you just gotta be safe with your stuff. You make sure you have backups and,
Of course.
keep an eye on things.
But needless to say, now granted, you still have to watch for AI slop. Not gonna argue that.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen
Just
some
because you
stuff.
can make a feature doesn't mean you should make a
Yes.
feature.
And what I have learned also is this is where the expertise and background of importance of understanding comes into play. I saw like an application built by, someone who I know very well. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, hey, this is cool. I called it out in front of a bunch of other people. It wasn't nice. And all right, fine. I was autistic mind, not thinking. But when I was looking at it, I was like, wait a minute. Why'd you build this on UI pages? Like 2011 called and wants its jelly back. You didn't scope it, global. And the response was like, well, we're building fast, we're moving fast, we need it. And it looked great, don't get me wrong. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if I built and was doing AI and AI built that, I would say, no, don't do it in the UI page. Do it as like a workspace experience service world page. And I'd be like, if it's created a global, I'd be like, no, don't build in global, create a scope for it.
Right.
And even if it's not something that's going to go to production, there's just some basics like best practices that I always follow, even if it takes extra time, because at the end of the day, once again, AI right now, a lot of it is relying on infrastructure. How to get taken down for a day for some various reason. And if it's built in such a way that you need AI now to manage this application, how long of a life is it going to have?
Right. But on the flip side, it's probably making it the simplest way it can.
That's true, but
Building
that's what
something in UI Builder, not easy. Not even for people who are experienced.
it's true. I'm not going to argue that. Well, that's why I said like, well, maybe a service portal page at least, but
I mean, the service portal pages though are very limited in like how they work. Like it'd have to know that, oh yeah, we're only using Bootstrap 3.3, Angular 1.5.3. Those versions are important because Angular 2 is a totally different creature than Angular 1. Like
it
it
is.
should have been named a different product, is what I'm trying to say, because there's a whole different concept to it. So like if it tried to build an Angular thing, because like you're like make service portal and my point is it's complicated. Whereas UI pages, they're simple.
They are very simple. And you know what? I've even found like trying to remember, I think it was the entry point to something like Creator Studio in ServiceNow goes through a UI page.
Yeah, everything's still powered by Jelly. I mean,
Yes.
not everything, but like they
A
can't get rid of
lot.
it. They can't get
A
rid of
lot.
it. And so I would argue learning Jelly still isn't a horrible idea.
I don't think it's a horrible idea, but it's still one of those things where it's like, hey, if I were vibe coding, I would be like, no, let's not do this as a UI page. Because there could be a point where Jelly's not supported anymore. I'm not saying anything whatsoever in history. I'm just saying longevity.
I mean, I would love them to come out and say that at some point, but good luck.
All right, let me put it this way. At least scope the thing.
Yeah, sure.
At
Scope's
least scope
fine.
it. All right? Scope it.
Yeah,
That drives me crazy. Like, no,
but yeah, I'm a big proponent of like the simplest solution is most likely the closest to the right solution.
I
You don't
can't
need to
argue that, but I
overcomplicate.
just also think, all right, what about longevity, maintenance management?
Sure, but if it's not simple to make, then why weren't
That's
those parts part of the other products?
that's the whole point of AI, though. It's supposed to help
But
make
then you're
things.
dependent on it, which it counters a whole other thing. I feel
Well,
so
there's a
it's
difference
two
between
minds.
using it to build faster, but you know
Yeah,
what's going on, versus, oh, I'm totally dependent on this thing.
yeah,
Like I'm building some Chrome extensions, I'm messing with it and trying things out. I'm pretty much dependent on AI because I don't know enough of the coding. I mean, I can read through and try to understand something, but I don't know enough to do it from scratch. I don't know what's best practice.
yeah. Extensions are complicated. Speaking of extensions, we're going to take a little side tangent. Did you
Are
see
we
Arnold
always?
Coy released a new version of SNUtils, which has a totally different look?
I have not.
And he's going into the paid part of it. He's got it so you can use the free stuff, but you can also use the paid stuff.
All right, cool.
Yeah, definitely worth checking
Premium.
out if you're not aware.
I'll have to check. You know, and I think that's great that he's doing that because, you build a utility like that and it is very useful
Yeah,
and people like it. And then of course people are asking, hey, are you going to maintain it? Whatever. And it takes a lot of work. And you know what? If he can build that and start making some money, and I would say like, I don't need to be a billionaire. I would just like $1 million idea, something I create. And then I make $1 million from it and I'm happy because
yeah,
I'm in my 40s now, past mid 40s. And I'm like, look, when I was in my 20s, I wanted to be a billionaire. In my 40s, I just not want to have a mortgage. That's it. That's all I don't want. I want to pay off
yeah.
my house.
I mean, from the outside, I just don't understand why ServiceNow didn't implement all of the things he did in ServiceNow.
I
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
help to go into it. I mean, I think I know. Their priorities were workspaces. Their priorities were not making things easier to use. Their priorities were making things that they could sell. And that makes sense.
Well, hang on. The workspaces, so getting to like the UI engine number 3, that had to happen. There was, for anyone listening to know, Jelly and UI pages and UI macros, that was UI engine number 1. When I started working on ServiceNow in 2011, even then, what was it, like the Apache Foundation that owned Jelly even said this is no longer being developed. So ServiceNow is like, okay, we relied on this library for UI and it's no longer being developed, so we can't really go anywhere with it. So
I mean,
let's
just because it doesn't get new features doesn't mean it's not good.
No, that's true. But I mean, but in technology, things are always changing. And if it's not going to be constantly developed and matured, you're gonna miss out. So UI engine number 2 was the service portal. And that was built on Angular JS and Bootstrap, which at the time was built by Google. And ServiceNow came out then. I think the plan was, hey, let's get Service Portal out there first because we need a new end user page, and then we'll eventually migrate everything over to it. And shortly after that came out Service Portal, guess what? Google said we're no longer developing Angular JS. It's now Angular 2, which is built on TypeScript, a whole different engine. And then as a company was like, great, that was our second engine that we relied on somebody. You know what we need to do? We need to build our own and take control over it and something we can grow. So the engine itself is proprietary with workspaces, even though it's built on React.js and GraphQL and all that stuff. ServiceNow took the ownership of it to mature it instead of relying on someone because they were burnt twice by it. So while I agree with you in some capacity in the complexity of the UI builder, at the same time, Service Portal and the portal designer, page designer was trying to do the same thing they're doing with UI Builder, but the flexibility wasn't there. You always had to code. So this is a whole nother conversation. To just know that, hey,
It is.
and by the way, I upgraded an instance to Australia, and some of the settings, like I went to go modify a module, like an application in the standard menu. Guess how it rendered?
I have no idea. Tell me.
Workspace UI.
Sure.
The migration of the classic UI has begun. Australia,
Well,
as the Zohan says.
they would have to achieve that milestone to get away from Jelly, right?
Yes, they would. And to your
that's a
point,
tall order.
it is going to be a very tall order. And I can't say of anything else, but it'll be interesting to see, is what I'll say.
Yeah. I just want to get shit done. I want to make stuff that's cool. And I feel
agree
like
with you.
when I make stuff in those newer parts of the system, I feel like I'm just fighting the system because to me, it feels unintuitive.
It
And
is
to
a
me,
level of complexity
it feels overly complex. And to me, it feels like it's a step backwards. And that's fine. I can have those opinions.
Yes, you can have those opinions. You can have them. And you know what? You should have them. We appreciate you having them. And I agree with them to some degree.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
also,
I was trying to. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was trying to talk about some other thing here that's kind of related. The Fluent code base, they've made it so you can now define your flow designers in Fluent.
Is it in Fluent or is it AI?
It's in Fluent.
It is in Fluent.
The only way that they'll have AI stuff building that stuff is with the Fluent type superset of script, whatever they call it. It's like a superset of TypeScript or something, right? So I was trying to unpack how exactly this stuff works.
Yeah.
And it took me 3 weeks to have it do it, but they're added weird, complex, it feels like weird backend stuff to make it all work.
Well, I know this. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish first.
Yeah, and I've been working on some other thing, some CLI version thing of stuff because I got tired of some other ServiceNow things. And I finally got out to work inspecting the GraphQL calls when you make changes on Flow Designer. I can just re-implement these GraphQL calls and it'll make the same thing. And debugging how ServiceNow is constructed this monstrosity that is Flow Designer and Flow Designer actions and pills.
Don't put down Flow Designer because I started on Flow Designer when it first came out. It's kind of near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, but if I asked you to take the code that it makes and make sense of it, I doubt you could.
It's pretty complicated. Yeah.
It's they're gzipping the contents of the pill. It is ridiculous.
There is definitely complexity there. Yes. But that also leads into another perspective of a shift, especially with the latest news announcements. Because one of the things they announced is um, improvement in terms of build agent skills and opening ServiceNow to every developer from any tool. And this goes in line exactly with what you're talking about, and also goes in line with updates to Australia, where the ServiceNow Studio, which is the more low code, more no code piece of building in ServiceNow that everyone gets access to,
Yeah.
has been updated to match the engine that's running the ServiceNow IDE, which is built on like VS Code,
Yep.
like VS Code for web. And part of that also goes into having the build agent finally move out of the IDE into the studio and can be used to build global items as well as existing applications.
Yeah.
So, including flows, like you were talking about. And then also opening up ServiceNow instances to using things like Claude Code and Windsurf and everything. So you can actually start to make changes on your instance from those dev environments.
Yeah, it's super cool. I haven't looked at the skill files themselves. I'm just gonna kind
I
of
haven't either.
summarize my understanding of it, but there's a thing called skills that AI tools use, and a skill is technically a tool call. The tool calls its skills to find the skill to use, and the skill is just text to say what to do, like what
What you do,
commands you
yeah.
could run, and this it's just a loose markdown file. But
Well,
if it tells you, hey, you need to have this Fluent thing installed to create flows and these other things, like it'll do those things for you, which is fantastic.
yes. But it also represents, and this kind of goes in line with UI Builder and what you were talking about with Flow Designer and everything, where ServiceNow as a platform is moving from more of the strictly no code, low code form based workflow that we all grew up in loving. Fred built, Uncle Fred, you know. I was going to tap my chest, but then I know the mic's there, so it would have possibly deafened somebody. But also, it's shifting into this perspective of, hey, it is trying to be more of a development platform, which I'm always mixed on because I always like the idea of, well, it should be simple, like you were talking about. But then also, wait a minute, we do need to have flexibility and power for those more developer minded people. I don't know if there's a good answer.
Yeah, I don't know what there is either. I just know it's complicated.
Yes. And there's just getting to be more and more AI.
Yep,
And I think our next episode, we've got to talk about some of that shift because I know we're getting low on time. But
we definitely do.
to give a little bit of primer, there were some announcements of changes in ServiceNow licensing and SKUs, and more of it is wrapping AI from the most basic
Yeah,
licensing. And Jason and I have differing opinions on it.
it's true.
And um, I don't want to get into it now because I know we are close to time.
Yeah. How
I
about
guess we
this?
could. Do we want it?
Let's just position it. So
All
let's
right, we'll
line it up.
position it.
We're like, okay, this is what has been said by ServiceNow. Do you want to start it or do you want me to start it? Because I'm going to try to be very brief, just like this is what they said. This is what I think it means. Then
Go
we can
go
argue
ahead.
it next week.
Go ahead and give your synopsis of it. I'll
My
share one of the articles at least that I have on it.
Yeah, my understanding is Bill McDermott somewhere had said, we're changing our licensing so that it's not going to be charged by seat. It's going to be by like AI something, whether that's token or usage or whatever the case is. Great, fine. My take on it is if ServiceNow is trying to do this, it means they're just trying to get more customers. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. Like it's that's the world we live in.
See, and this is where it's interesting with it because when I initially saw some of the changes of like what was going on with it, I was like, well, from an ITSM product perspective, which is where I grew up in the ServiceNow world, I'm like, I don't know if I like this. But then I had to pause for a minute and think, well, wait a minute. ServiceNow is not just an ITSM product vendor anymore.
Right. They also have
We're
CSM and they also have HRSD. And
overall,
they also have management, and
yes.
wrapped in there is discovery of finding the hardware
Uh,
stuff.
overall, ServiceNow is moving into the growth of an AI enterprise workflow platform. That's really, and in that context, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. The SKU changes, product changes make sense because we're thinking of everybody using AI to get more efficient, especially on top of the enterprise data that's there, either ServiceNow or external. And so some of it does make sense. And I don't know if you've seen details of the pricing. I've seen some stuff. I don't think I can talk about it though, so I'm not going to. But
Yeah.
in that context, it makes sense. And the one thing I'll say is, for us that knew ServiceNow from back in the day as starting as an ITSM vendor and kind of being the scrappy kid on the block of new innovation, whatever, that's just the sad part of it's not there anymore. The focus now is no enterprise, AI workflow, AI first. And it's going to be one of those things where I think time will tell is Bill McDermott's vision spot on and he's kind of leading ServiceNow into this massive growth area, or is it really just more AI slop and in some years time people are going to realize leadership's going to realize, oh, we made a mistake, oops. I don't know, I'm not that
Yeah,
level, dude.
I don't I don't know either. But I do know from my point of view, it just looks like they're just trying to capture more audience.
You know what,
You know what I mean?
you're allowed to have that voice. And I from what I've seen with a lot of in the industry, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of businesses start to say, how can we not just do more and more with an AI, but how can we almost use everything for AI? Yes, there's AI slop. You have to have person in the loop, but if I can give Jace the AI tools to leverage AI and be 3 times more effective, that's 2 more Jaces I don't have to hire, and I'm in a position to grow my company from that, especially if everyone's that way.
It's true, but it's hard to have that discussion without eventually getting to how much does it cost and how much do I get out of it? And that
Absolutely.
is a discussion that ServiceNow never has in the open.
I mean, I'm happy to say discussions that I've had with customers on their numbers on conservative assets,
Yeah.
the estimated ROI, even on basic AI, surpasses the cost. Like it's a no-brainer.
Okay.
The challenge, I think, is not so much that it is how can customers get things adopted? Because the technology is moving far faster than what people can adopt. And you get AI out there, you give it to everybody, and if nobody uses it, you're right, you're not going to get an ROI.
Yeah. Not especially if the way that the SKUs were positioned before was a percentage of ACV or an increase in ACV plus a usage, right? If you don't get adoption, you just got a higher bill for no use,
But
right?
now with it being part of there, it's first of all, it eliminates that extra cost. Like, okay, it's part of the product you're using now. And second of all, it's like ServiceNow's trying to get people to really embrace this. And I don't know,
I don't know either. It's all a gamble. We'll see what happens. I'm excited
it's a
to see
gamble.
it.
I'm excited. I'm also scared. I mean, I'm scared in general, like seeing the job market, and I've got friends who like don't even use AI at work. And I'm thinking, dude, you may not have a job in a couple of years. Like,
I don't think it's going to be like that, but we'll see, right?
I don't know.
I
You know what?
think
I'm
things
very
will change.
negative.
I think things will change. I mean, I think people had the same opinion when automation was big in the thousands. Like I had a coworker when I
Yeah.
first started coming up, they're like, "You're going to take away my job." I said, "No, I'm going to give you the time to do the stuff that really matters." Like that's right. Like you don't have to fill out this spreadsheet every other week. Like why are you filling it out if you don't need to?
That's where there's a difference between AI and other type of automation tools where AI is actually it can make decisions and do things in a crap field of data. Like not perfect, but I don't know.
Well,
But
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. We'll find out. Only the
we're
future
gonna
will
find
tell
out.
us.
Yes,
I'm not a fortune teller. There's a book I like to read called Code Simplicity, and one of the tenets in it is you don't know the future, so don't pretend like you do. Don't
yep.
code like you know the future. Code for
All
the
I'm
problems you
doing
have
is
today
trying to help customers get the most
out of their investment.
out of their purchases and get
Yeah.
that ROI and embrace new technologies. And I think and I'm altruistic. I'm a socialistic capitalist. That's why I'm poor. I'm not a billionaire. Like I said, I just want $1 million idea, pay off my mortgage.
Well, we'll have to catch up next week or the week after that for
Yes.
sure. If you're in knowledge for people coming, if you're going to the ServiceNow's Knowledge 26, make sure
Okay.
to reach out. I'll try to share where I'm going to be when I'm going to be there.
I won't be there as far as I know. I'm
And I'm
first
sorry to hear that.
knowledge. I am too, but that's another topic conversation.
All right,
But
man.
anyway, this has been Michael.
And this has been Jace. It's been fun.
Bye for now.
See you later.